Hi everybody, I wanted to do this first free tutorial on how to read just a tube of paint. If you go to the store, I want you to be well armed with a lot of information so that you can pick paints that are going to work with you and not against you. And it seemed like when I started out, I didn't have a lot of specific information, so if I took a watercolor class, I might know about watercolor paints or what pigments we used in watercolor, but in an acrylic class, they might teach you about acrylic paint, but I wanted to give you information that you can walk into any paint store, pick up a tube of professional grade paint, artist grade paint, and be able to make a great decision about what's going to work best for you, for your project, what you want to accomplish, and of course the pretty colors. So let's start with, for simplicity's sake, I'm going to walk you through. So this is gouache, and this is watercolor, oil, and then this is acrylic. But I'm going to walk you through this tube of paint right here, and then I'll tell you very briefly about the other ones as well. So I chose Golden because their labels are very, very user-friendly, very easily understood. This one that I picked, so let's start with paint name. So the paint name doesn't really tell you much about, usually those are specific to the manufacturer. So what Golden calls Hansa Yellow Medium, another manufacturer might call something else. But so that doesn't really tell you about the pigment. What does tell you about the pigment is this little number right here. This P tells you that it's a pigment, Y means yellow, and then this is the pigment number, 73. So you can pick up a tube of paint from a different manufacturer, and if it's PY73, it's exactly the same color as this, except if they changed up the binder at all. But the pigment will be exactly the same as Hansa Yellow Medium. So if you're looking to match from an oil to an acrylic, you can figure that out by just matching the pigment number, which is right here. Then I also wanted to talk to you about what a pigment is. So pigments are either naturally occurring, coming from the earth, they're mined or pulled out of a natural resource, sometimes metals, things like that. So they can be organic, like plant, or from something that has bones, are considered an organic pigment, or they can be inorganic, so metals, rocks, those kinds of things that come from the earth. That we get a lot of ochres from, earth. So, and then also you can get synthetic pigments, which are usually your really, really bright colors, your quinacridones and phthalos and those kinds of things. So those are usually synthetic pigments, man-made. So that's your pigment number. That's what a pigment is. It's something that they grind up or create, manufacture, and they put it in some sort of a binder. And your binders are going to be different depending on what medium you use, and we'll get to that in a minute. So pigment numbers. So when they do the pigment numbers, and I'm going to give you a resource link that comes with this video, so you can look up any pigment. But right here it says conforms to ASTM. So that is the American Association for Testing and Materials. Basically what that means is it's been tested for safety. So health and safety tested. And it conforms to all their ratings. So Golden's really, really, really transparent about their safety ratings. They're vigilant. So you always know you're going to get a good product with that. Let's see. So right here, light fastness. Let's skip to that. So light fastness is really, really, really important in painting. Why? Well, if you create a painting and you sell it to a client and they hang it on their wall and the colors start to fade, some of them are called fugitive and can go completely transparent, your client's not going to be really happy about that. So light fastness is actually really important. And the light fast rating usually starts with 1 is very good, and usually goes up to a rating of 4. And the higher the number, the worse the light fast rating is. So light fastness can be affected by a lot of things. The pigment that's in there, the amount of light that it receives, and and heat sometimes can affect light fastness. But some pigments are just more light fast than others. For example, Opera Rose is what we call fugitive, meaning it's probably got a rating of 4. It'll fade very quickly, even inside a journal. I've done some watercolors with Opera Pinks and Opera Roses that have already faded. And then down here at the bottom, you'll see right here it says Series 3. Basically what these series numbers mean, and some manufacturers use letters, but Golden and I think Liquitex also use numbers. But that basically means what the cost of the pigment is. So that's going to determine your price of the paint. So usually the higher the number, the more expensive it is. So this one is a little more expensive than, say, let's see, this one is a Series 7, if you look down here. So this one is much more expensive than this one. Oops, I just dropped it. Than this one. So that tells you that information. So let's flip the label over. I love Golden too because they, right on the label, you just know right away what it's going to look like outside of the tube and how transparent or opaque. So these stripes are on every label and then they hand paint those on there. Okay, so this tells us also, this right here says transparent, and then it's a sliding scale to opaque. So we can tell right away, just in one glance, that this is very transparent. And then from matte to gloss, it falls on the glossy end. So you know what kind of a finish you're gonna have. And then this, because this is obviously a fluid paint, is much thinner than thick, which that's also called a viscosity rating. And then here you've got your tinting strength. So tinting strength is just how much vibrancy you're going to get from your paint. So this one falls pretty close to the middle, a little on the low side, but not bad. What else is on here? Oh, binder. This is important. So acrylic polymer dispersion. That's pretty typical for an acrylic paint. So most acrylic paints, even the thicker ones, have an acrylic polymer dispersion, but they can have, acrylic paints especially can have sometimes 10 or 15 different binders in them. And that's what differentiates acrylics, that lots of them, most of the binders in acrylic paints are plastic polymer based binders, but they have lots of extenders and other things in there as well. That's what separates an oil. So I could have the exact same pigment in here as I could have in here, but this would have only oil as a binder. This is an oil paint, different manufacturer. This is Gamblin. I just wanted to show you for variety that it's still easy to read a label. So here's your product name. This tells you nothing about the pigment. It is a Series 2, so relatively inexpensive. Gamblin is a really good oil paint for starting out. You get a lot of bang for your buck. They're very, very highly pigmented for not a lot of money. I like them a lot. Some of them are really thick, so they require a little bit of thinning, but not terrible. Okay, so let me get this out of the sun a little bit. So this does have some Hansa yellow in it, and it also has phthalo emerald. And these, and titanium dioxide. Right here are your pigment numbers. So if you look at this one, this isn't a pure pigment. This one is a mix. And this is going to tell you exactly which pigments are in there. So you've got pigment green 36, pigment yellow 3, and pigment white 6. Then it says the refined linseed oil. So that is your binder. And then the light fastness is 2, which is good. And then this tells you that it's opaque. Opaque meaning you're not going to be able to see through it, like the Hansa yellow over here, which is relatively transparent. And then this quinacridone right here, this tells you the opacity here. Okay, back to this one, the oil paint. Oil paints are not scary. I want to take some of the mystery out of these. The only binder in here is refined linseed oil. That's it. Let's see if we're missing anything else on here. Gamblin. So manufacturer website. I'm going to encourage each and every one of you, if you have questions about your pigments, if you have questions about anything, go to the manufacturer's website. They have loads and loads and loads of information. So I wanted to show you that too. So I've gone to, here's one from Schmincke. I love their watercolors. But look at all this information that you can get from them. And they have it on literally every pigment they have. They have all of the data. So here this tells you which series. So this one is relatively inexpensive. 4 stars, that tells you light fast rating. This little square right here is half marked, half not. That means that it's semi-opaque. This is transparent. And if it's totally black like this, that means it's opaque. But all of these are the exact pigments that they used to make this color. So, and then this tells you more information about it. Classic, very transparent. It's a mix of 2 pigments. Lots of information on the manufacturer's website. So I'm going to encourage you to get familiar with that information. Here's another set of I keep these in my binders all the time. So this one is mgram. I cut off the top a little bit, but this is every color that they have. I think this is for their oil. I think this is their oil paints. It sure looks like oil swatches on here, but tells you right down here exactly how to read this, the drying times, transparent, semi-transparent, semi-opaque, opaque. And then right here, there's your pigment, all the information that you need. Manufacturers are really great too. If you have questions for them, they're always happy to help. Oh, one of the other things that I wanted to talk to you about, and I'm going to walk through these two, Daniel Smith watercolors. Oh, love them. Okay, so this is a permanent red, which is a synthetic pigment. Let me flip it over so you can see. So this comes from Naphthol Red, which is pigment red 170. Okay, so in watercolor, most of your binders are going to be gum arabic. Sometimes you have another binder. Sometimes they use synthetic glycol, honey, oxgall. Grams especially use honey in theirs to just help them make more fluid. They disperse really, really well in water. Okay, so that is your, okay, so here they call that a vehicle. Vehicle is the same thing as a binder. And then this is your safety, so it's your safety rating. If you need to look up safety information on it. This has the AP label on it, which means that it's considered safe if used as it's intended, meaning don't squirt it in your mouth. Let's see, Series 1, so relatively inexpensive. Light fastness is 2, so good. And let's see, made in the USA. Yay, Daniel Smith. Okay, love their paints. Great, great, great stuff. This is Holbein, and I pulled this out because good luck with Holbein. You can see already the issue. So this is cadmium green deep. Cadmium is a little tricky, not super, super safe, because as you turn it around, you see the AP rating is, yeah, big red block. Yeah, you don't want to get this in your food. You don't want to wash your hands when you're done. But you can see right here, part of the problem. Now, this is a case where I would definitely see the manufacturer's website and see if I could find something in English about that. But if I flip it over here, I can see that it's Series D. So more expensive. Cadmiums always are, but they're so rich in pigment. They're amazing. So to me, worth it. And then I can tell here, light fast rating is 3. So not, well, I don't know. They may have a different rating system. So, but this does tell you 3, and then I'd have to look up and see what that actually means to that manufacturer. And then here's your pigments. Pigment yellow, what is that, 335, and then pigment green 7. So not so hard to read a paint tube now. And again, I encourage you, look at your manufacturer's websites. They're super, super helpful. If you have questions about anything, feel free to contact me. I am more than happy to try to help. Again, I'm not an expert. I am learning right along with the rest of you about all of this stuff, but that will save you a whole lot of time and trouble, and now hopefully you can just go to the art store and get what you need. I wanted to talk for just 1 minute on why transparency or opacity is important in a painting. A lot of people will want to get a really vibrant color, and if they mix in a color that is opaque with a transparent color, the opaque color is probably going to take over. You'll lose some of the vibrancy because the light is not going to bounce back from the substrate underneath. So a lot of the things that I do with really vibrant colors, I try to keep layers light and transparent so that you keep that vibrancy. Colors like ochres are going to be more opaque. So when you're choosing a paint, just kind of pay attention to, you know, or when you're picking it up and choosing a paint to paint with, is this transparent? Am I going to be able to see the color underneath it, or is it going to be opaque and I'm really going to lose what's underneath it? And sometimes losing what's underneath it is really great because then you can block out areas. So knowing your transparency and your opacity is important in your painting. It's going to totally change the effects that you can get with it. The other thing I wanted to talk about is craft paint and why I think there's a big difference. When I go to the craft store and I choose a craft paint, I am choosing based on color. I have very little information to go on other than I can pretty much assume that it's going to probably be opaque. Most craft paints are mixed with lots and lots of binders and fillers, and you can't find that information on the manufacturer's website. It's just not there. They don't disclose it. They don't really have to. So the issue becomes the inability to know the quality and longevity of the paint itself. There's just no way to know for sure how the paint will perform long term. And at that point, it's up to the individual creator to just make a decision. I've read mixed reviews online from art websites about fading issues sometimes if a work is hung on walls where there's daylight or if they hang for a long period of time. So in journals, they should be fine where there's not an issue with sunlight and heat. But again, there isn't any way to really know. Many manufacturers don't even disclose the info or any testing for longevity. So each artist has to make their own choice, but I think that choice should be a well-informed one. So I'm hoping that after this tutorial, you know, next time you go to the art supply store that you are confident in how to pick up a paint tube and read through it and know exactly what you're getting. So let me know if you have questions. Let me know if I missed anything or if you feel like I got anything wrong. I'm happy to correct. Again, I'm not an expert. I'm just sharing with you what things I have learned along the way and wish I would have known a whole lot sooner. So I hope this is helpful to you. I hope to hear from you, and I hope to bring you some more information. I've got a couple more topics that I really want to touch base on that have saved me, now that I know them. Getting the information was really hard, but now that I know them, have saved me a lot of headaches, a lot of wasted paint, a lot of time. So I hope to bring all that to you in the weeks and months to come. Thanks for checking this out, and I'm glad to have you all on this journey with me. I enjoy this so much, and I enjoy connecting with you all the time. Feel free to drop me a note and say hi anytime.